right. Well, that is the beginning of the Just Get Hired podcast summer series. I want to welcome you guys in. I'm your host, Jessica Fiesta George, and this is the first time that I'm doing video. So I am so glad that I have Chris Wilson with me because he's been on my podcast before. But this format is a little bit different than most of my other episodes. If you listen to my podcast, they're, about 30 minutes long. We talk about one topic. But this one is going to be short and sweet, kind of to the point, hot and spicy for the summer because I have a new format and a new sponsor. So we're going to just get started. So welcome to the new format of the Just Get Hired podcast, Chris Wilson.
Thanks so much for having me. Excited to be here.
So Spicy Gnome is our sponsor, so I do have to give them a shout out. But if you're ready to embark on a flavor-packed journey, Spicy Gnome Hot Sauce is where you need to look at because they are sponsoring this sizzling summer series. And we're going to give everyone the hottest takes for the hottest topics this summer. And I'm going to feature a lot of your favorite LinkedIn influencers, a lot of people from around the globe, and including previous guests like you. So welcome in. You're coming in from Vancouver, and you've been on my show. You did episode 49 of my podcast, and our title was Your Job Doesn't Suck, Your Attitude Does, which I love the vibe of that show. So I thought you'd be the perfect person to help me get this series kicked off. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so we're talking today about social media, specifically Threads. So for those of you guys who don't know what Threads is, maybe Chris, you can probably explain it.
Yeah, sure. So while I don't know the tried and true methods of exactly what Threads is, it's basically a Twitter copy, we can say, or a Twitter format from Instagram, from Meta, that's just been released in the last, I believe, 7 to 10 days. And it's kind of taking that same format of text only, from my understanding at least, and bringing it into an Instagram format, so to speak, for those users.
Yep. So a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people haven't signed up for it because you have to read the fine print, because I didn't read the fine print until someone told me about it. But you can't really just delete your Threads account, because if you delete your Threads account, you delete your Instagram account, and I don't want that to happen. So I don't know if you were aware of that, but
no, not at all.
Yeah, so be careful. You might just lose everything, and we don't want that because you have some great content. I'll make sure we share all of our links so people can find us on both platforms, but Threads is connected to your Instagram account. So I think that might help a little bit as far as getting some of the trolls off that you find on Twitter. Are you on Twitter?
I'm not on Twitter. No, I've been against and off Twitter since day one. So I'm interested to see, because I think we're going to have some different views here on this episode.
Okay. Yeah, I started a Twitter account years ago, and actually I have like a personal account, and of course now I have my podcast account. But I had a lot of trolls on there. I mean, just some evil people that are on Twitter. So I feel like people that are on Threads are actually playing nice. So, I mean, do you think Threads is a trend, or do you think it's here to stay?
I think Threads is definitely a trend. It's something that Instagram and Meta is competing against with Twitter full on. And I'm not a part of Threads, so I definitely want to get that out there. First of all, I haven't signed up, not a part of it. I don't know if I'm going to. And the reason for that is it's just like another platform, right? Do I think it's here to stay? I'm not sure. I mean, social media tends to move very fast in terms of what's upcoming, what's happening, and what's the next thing. Now, I think in terms of Threads, like Instagram has a huge platform with I don't know how many multi-millions of users. So they already have that foundation of trust, of respect that's built into them. So I think they're going to get a lot of users. And as we've already seen, they've got millions and millions of users in the first 7 days, I think, or even less, that are kind of backing from that Instagram platform. So I think it'll be interesting to see the dynamic on there.
So I read that in less than 48 hours of it launching, it surpassed like 70 million people who signed up for it.
Wow.
And yeah, so I actually, they used to have it, certain profiles still have your number underneath your name. So if you wanted to
Hmm.
follow someone on Threads, you can just click the number. But now, depending on what format you have on your Instagram or what version, there's like now a little Threads button on the top. But I
Yeah.
think I looked at my thread number. I was 21,197,715. That's my user
Wow.
number. So
It's funny how
um,
they're doing the numbers. I mean, I can see why they're doing it is it gets people, it creates that urgency that people want to get in. People want that earlier number to kind of show their status almost, or their, I don't know if respect is the right word, but their loyalty to that platform. So I think they did a really interesting marketing technique with those numbers, because the people that I've talked to on Threads talk about their number. That's the first thing that comes up.
uh-huh.
And I think that's done on purpose.
Yeah. Well, now they have it where you can click over to your profile and it has the same URL that you have on Instagram. So I think they're starting to change it because it's kind of hard to remember, you know, telling someone, hey, come find me. I'm number 21 million, whatever.
Yeah, everyone's
uh,
just a number. We're all back to numbers again.
exactly. Right. Well, yeah, so Threads is connected to Instagram in some accounts. Twitter, I've been slowly getting on it. Like I said, there's just a lot of trolls that are on there. So I'm not
Hmm.
sure if, since you're not on it, if you know how maybe, I mean, there are a lot of bots that are out there, right? And I
Hmm.
know there's a lot of Instagram bots. So I don't know if they're able to create a thread account having a fake Instagram page. So I don't know. Have you
Yeah,
heard anything about that?
yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I'm not sure to answer that question, but at the same time, Instagram, I do feel like as a social media platform in general, is very spammy. There's a lot of inbox messages I get that are fake from Forex and crypto and all these random
Oh,
places. I'm
yes.
sure you get the same ones. So I would like to imagine a world where threads will be kind of governed in terms of what it is right now. But that being said, Instagram being one of the most spammy social media platforms, in my opinion, that I use at least, I think it's only a matter of time before it comes into threads. But I think they're going to try and keep it more social engagement for people that want high engagement too. Because let's be honest, they're going to change the algorithm on threads so people get more engagement to feed them in, so they want to use it more and more right from the get-go. At least that's what I think.
Yeah. Well, as social media is evolving, we're always coming up with, there's new things happening. LinkedIn is key when it comes to networking, as you know, especially for the audience that we probably have listening.
Hmm.
I haven't heard of any like LinkedIn competitor. Maybe we should probably come up with an app.
Yeah,
We
perfect.
need
Let's
something
collaborate
similar.
after this.
But is there another platform that you think that can be used for job seekers that is not LinkedIn? And then, or like, how are you using your social media right now?
Yeah, yeah. So basically, in terms of my system that I use, is when I first started. So let's go back, several years, at least several years, and I got on all these different social media platforms. I was on Facebook, Instagram, not Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and just all these different things. And what happened is I spread myself too thin. So
Mm,
I wasn't really delivering on any platform because I had a multitude of platforms that I was trying to deliver on. So after a couple years in that, I phased out Facebook, deleted that. I phased out some other accounts, deleted those, and I really just started to kind of focus my presence on certain accounts, and that was YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. As far as my target audience, what content, type of content I want to create. So I think there's a fine line of just hopping on 10 different
yeah.
platforms and really trying to create content, even if you're repurposing it to create a huge amount of value to your audience and to people out there, because there's just too much to do. It takes too much time. So I'm someone that believes, less is more, focus on less platforms. But
Okay.
kind of on the tip of that is I really think what's going to push threads to go kind of faster than any other platform here is how it's connected to Instagram. And
Mm,
that's what we've seen also in the whole Meta brand, the Facebook brand
right.
itself, is the accounts are connected meaning you can share posts easier, cross share them on different accounts. You can share different types of content easier between them because it's the same hub, the same brand. So I think that's something they have going for them, that it might not be as hard to create or transfer your content from IG to Threads.
Right. Actually, they do make it super easy because on Threads you can easily just hit the share button, and you can choose whether you want it to go to your stories or do you want it to go as a post on your
Mm-hmm.
feed. So I do like that feature, and unlike Twitter, you're right. I have to go back, log into another account. Remember, to keep it short and sweet because Twitter has the character limit. You can't post more than like 120 characters, maybe, I think it is.
Yeah.
So you got to keep it short, sweet, concise, and then, make sure if you use the right hashtags. Not a lot of people use hashtags, but, you can find more people using that. I haven't figured out, though, on Threads if you can do like searched stuff. So I'm still playing around with it.
Okay.
But, I like it. I think it's better than Twitter. Were you on MySpace?
I was
Are
on
you too young for
MySpace.
that?
Yeah. No, back in the day, I was on MySpace for sure, but that didn't last too long for me. So then that disappeared.
Yeah, so that's what I'm kind of afraid of. I don't know. Is Threads going to be like the MySpace where we get all the hype, everyone starts using it, and then it disappears, and it was,
Yeah.
yesterday's
Yeah, I think
thing in
there's
the
so
closet.
many users these days. Like everyone's scrolling on their phones. I mean, you go on the bus, you look around bus stops, you walk down the street, you go to a coffee shop. What's everyone doing? They're looking down at their devices. So I think with today's generation, especially the younger generation coming up, everyone grew up on iPhones. Everyone grew up on having devices and social media glued to their hands at all times. So I think personally with this generation coming up, you're not going to get them off social media unless some world catastrophe happens or something life changing for everyone happens, then perhaps. But as we've seen, even since the pandemic, more social media, analytics have showed that more people are on social media every single day and using it for longer hours because people are just glued to their phones.
Absolutely. Well, unlike my other format, we try to keep things a little bit short and sweet. So these are spicy nuggets of information for our listeners to think about. So on that note, I think our time is up, but I hope that we can maybe get Chris Wilson to open up a Threads account and then we can follow him there.
We'll have to see what my number is first, and then I'll decide based on the number.
All right. Sounds good to me. All right. Well, thanks, Chris, for your hot take. And I want to thank our sponsor again, Spicy Gnome. Don't forget to visit thespicygnome.com today, where flavor meets opportunity, and visit my website. Also, check out episode 49 with Chris Wilson. Check out my website as well. Chris, you want to give a shout out to how people can find you?
Sure, you can find me on my website at chrismwilson.com, as well as Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for your spicy conversation and your hot take.
Thanks for having me.